Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Sales, a dynamic series from Zip Teams on sales enablement, where we bring together accomplished sales leaders to share their insights and experiences with our audience. I'm delighted to introduce our guest for this episode, Mr. Paras Bhatia, Associate Director of Sales at EdYoda, a prominent edtech organization that aims to equip students and professionals with the skills they need to succeed in the industry. Thank you so much for joining us today, Paras. We'd love to know more about you and how you're driving growth and success at EdYoda through your role.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Zania, first of all. So if we talk about it at EdYoda, basically, it was a 20-member team when I joined. And since then, there has been a lot of ups and downs. It has been a roller coaster ride, but then there are a few things which we look forward to. And due to that, we have been able to expand from a 20 people team to 130 people team now. And we look forward to grow it to another 200 people, around a 350 people team of sales, wherein we are expecting to generate a revenue of around 3 to 4 CR every month.
That's quite interesting. The growth of the sales team that you just mentioned, it's amazing how EdYoda has been able to scale through that with the current market scenario and everything else that's going on. So proudly bootstrapped with a mission to assist college students and professionals from tier 2 and tier 3 cities by teaching them industry skills through your learning programs. What EdYoda is doing is quite awe-inspiring. So how do you keep your sales teams and yourself motivated in a market where you are specifically not the first?
So if you look at it, that we are not the first, I do agree. But then we are also not trying to disrupt the market for anybody else. I'll be very honest on that part, wherein the first thing is that if you look at most of the upskilling edtech organizations, wherein they are targeting those top niche categories with average selling point of 3 lakh rupees for a data science course or a 4 lakh rupee data science course, it's not the same in EdYoda. So if you look at it, we majorly try to reach out to and approach to people from tier 3 and tier 4 cities. And we have kept a price of around 50 to 75,000 rupees for our upskilling courses. Could be data science, could be full stack, could be Java. That is one thing which has helped us grow. Because if you look at it, 70% of the population who wants to enter the IT sector is from tier 3 and tier 4 only. It's a very niche category. It's a very small, I would say, headcount, wherein you look forward to paying 3 lakh rupees for an IT course. And that is where we do not even want to enter. And when it comes to keeping the team motivated and keeping myself motivated, I'm a self-motivated person, wherein achieving targets is one of the greatest motivations for me. Wherein the team is involved, I would say monthly compensations, monthly incentive structures are good. But then when it comes to keeping the team motivated, it's always, good to have those weekly spot contests, vouchers, and, giving them those small buckets of happiness. And that helps me keeps the team motivated. I'll be very honest on that. Plus, there is one good thing about our organization, that we have an internal joining process. So if you are able to outperform for 3 to 4 months, you may have a promotion in your hand. So that is also one more thing which helps the team motivate, helps me keep the team motivated.
Right. So basically, consistently keeping the team grounded. And I think acknowledgement is something that really goes a long way and also helps boost performances. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Right. So tell us about some of the success stories at EdYoda and how's the past year been for you, your organization, and how are you seeing things play out over this specific year for the edtech industry?
So first question first, that if we talk about how have been things moving for EdYoda. So EdYoda started their operations back in 2019. Though the company has been registered since 2016, they started their operations in 2019, and that 0 to 1 journey which you have, it was being done and dusted already. And by the end of December 2021, EdYoda was actually facing a challenge wherein they were stuck at around 150 units being sold per month. And then they were pretty much stuck to it for another 6 months, wherein I joined the organization in May 2022. It was kind of a training. I was trying to learn things all across the month of May. And in June, when I took charge, So that was the first thing which I mentioned earlier, that introducing those spot contests, getting the team out of their comfort zone is very important. So establishing a few frameworks and executing them, establishing a few policies and executing them alongside incentivizing the sales folks and keeping them happy is something which has made us cross that 150 mark. And currently, like the last month, if I tell you about, it has crossed already 500. So that is
That's quite
something we
amazing.
have been able to see. Yeah. So we have been able to see month on month growth since July, and we look forward to growing even rapidly in the upcoming months. And when I come to the second question, that how things have been shaping up for edtech industry altogether, and what is the plan for next year, I would say edtech industry is only gonna grow for another 4 or 5 years, not just this year. But there is one thing which I would say many edtechs do overlook. That is called customer acquisition cost. So if you would have seen that the big names, the bulls of edtech, I must say, Byju's, Unacademy, Vedantu, these people have actually laid off around 1,500 to 2,000 sales folks directly because of this only. So the reason is that it's not like the company is running under losses or something. But yes, when you see that your customer acquisition cost is higher than your average selling price, so obviously the company will be incurring losses. But then these people had overlooked it earlier in terms of expansion. In regards to expand the organization, they overlooked the customer acquisition cost. It went up higher than the average selling price, and due to which they had to lay off or fire around 1,500 to 2,000 people to bring the customer acquisition cost down. So I would say, if somebody who's trying to expand as an edtech or a fintech or a startup altogether, do not overlook the what do you call, customer acquisition cost. It's very important to keep your company profitable, even if you are expanding, even if you are going to raise a funding round. It's very important to keep it profitable. For that, you need to lower down the customer acquisition cost. So that is my suggestion to all the edtech leaders over there, wherein I would suggest that it's very important to focus on your unit economics and keep the customer acquisition cost in control.
Right. Considering virtual selling became big during the pandemic,
Mhm.
how do you keep the learning curve growing in your sales team? And were there any internal strategic changes or process shifts that you implemented?
Absolutely. So I would say there are a few things that context over control is very important, is what I believe. So there are two kinds of leaders. One is a commander and one is an actual leader. A commander is just the one who dictates things and wants them to be done. So that is control over context. I believe in the other half, that is context over control, wherein it's better you make them understand why do they have to do it. What is the outcome they're gonna get out, once they're done doing whatever the process, whatever the job is. And that helps me a lot. That helps people reach out to me. They feel that I'm approachable, and they come directly to me asking questions, and which creates a good bond between the leader and the subordinates, is what I feel. That is one thing which has helped me a lot. The second thing is, I don't know if you would have heard of it or not. There is a book by the name of Radical Candor by Kim Scott. The headline, the punchline of this book goes by how to be a kick-ass leader. So this book has really helped me a lot, wherein I very strongly believe in the idea of caring personally and challenging directly. So when it comes to a virtual setup altogether, context over control really helps. And then if you monitor it properly, you will be able to find the gaps and the challenges. If you have the right set of tools, you'll be able to find those gaps and challenges, and which helps you and the team both to overcome the challenges and actually achieve the desired targets.
Right. Could you be a little more specific in terms of your sales teams? For example, we do know that sales teams are one of the most exposed across the board. Everyone at all given times, are aware which lead is being pursued by the sales team compared to other other teams over the in the organization that work in silos maybe, or they work independently. Sales is sort of a pretty exposed vertical. So the things that you just mentioned, how can you actually better the sales team's functioning, considering it's a very changing and very dynamic landscape with sales enablement coming and virtual selling coming in. How are you looking at that?
So if you talk about virtual selling and sales enablement, as I told you, like if there is a proper setup, a proper framework which has been established, and let's say you are hiring a new talent altogether. So when that new talent comes to an organization, they look forward to that culture. They look forward to the training which has been given to them. And then the first thing which is there in their mind, that how can I grow in this organization? So it's very important for them to understand the growth path in the beginning itself. If you set the right expectations, if you set the right context for them, the number of challenges which they are going to face in their journey get reduced automatically. And like, I hope I am able to answer the question, or if there is anything in particular you want to know, you can ask specifically.
No. That's absolutely correct. You can continue.
So that is how you actually enable that particular new talent which has been hired as a sales professional, and that helps you and them to all together do that hand holding and grow together in the organization.
Right, that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. So moving ahead, with some big competitor names investing in other businesses like study abroad, etc., and university accredited courses, what are you looking at as a success parameter from your sales teams, and how are you measuring it? Do you have any, any measurement technologies in place or something like that?
So if we talk about sales enablement again and how are we looking forward to it, I would say if somebody has to be a sales professional, there are a few things which I feel that are very important for that person to have. So first thing is that that urge to convert a lead into a customer, that mindset of staying on the call if it's inside sale, or staying in touch with the customer if it's B2B or field sales or whatever it is. That mindset that what should I do next or say next, that I create a need of this product in the customer's mind. That is one very important thing, which I call it the S factor, not the X factor, because it's the sales factor. Then the second thing, if I talk about it, if you are a sales professional and you're going to sell a product for your own organization, for you to sell that product, it's very important that you must have faith in that product. You must believe in the product, and then only you will be able to sell that concept or product or a service, whatever you are into. So these are two very important things which actually help a person become a sales professional. And when it comes to me being a leader and measuring those things, I so while hiring, I look forward to one thing which is very important, that is sheer persistence, wherein I see people not just persuading, actually giving the right logics behind why to buy this product. Somewhat similar to what also happens in D2C. Over here, we have a sales pitch, they have an advertisement running. So these are very few important things. And if it is about measuring things, I measure it on 4 grounds. First is comms, second is confidence, and third is logical reasoning. That is, what kind of intellectual level do you have as a sales professional? And fourth one is street smartness. That is the S factor.
The the street smart part is what got us, the not being the X factor, but being the S factor. That's an amazing point that you put forward. So since we're still on the point of sales enablement, you are aware that AI has gone big time, and AI powered sales enablement tools and performance management tools have gone up ahead. So has EdYoda been exploring such products? How have you been enabling your sales teams because of the I would say the hybridness of selling lately?
So if we talk about EdYoda in particular, currently we have not got indulged into any kind of AI tools for sales enablement. But yes, we do spend a lot of time on the CRM, and we do make sure that our sales folks are given responsibilities on day-to-day basis, wherein they are getting that much of interaction out of the CRM. So for example, if a team leader has n number of jobs, to perform on a CRM, I would make sure that my team leaders distribute those activities amongst their team, and one sales folk in their team is actually catering to that particular job. So if there are 10 folks and 10 activities to be done, I will make sure that the team leader is assigning that one activity per person of CRM, so that they do not stay out of touch with the technology. So yes, it is actually important, and I do understand the importance of an AI-based tool to actually help organizations for sales enablement. But currently, we have not come across any, and that is the reason we have not got any.
But there's always scope for exploring, isn't it?
It is. There is.
Right.
There is for sure.
So things have significantly changed for the edtech industry. We understand how it went on a boom during COVID and during the pandemic, when people actually had a lot of time to themselves, and upskilling became a big thing during that time. So considering you did mention, during the beginning of this specific session, what all you're planning to focus on, can you lay down some key specific focus areas for this year? And how are you planning to go about it? And how are you really championing your sales teams to take it up?
Key specific focus areas in terms of my growth, or you're talking about the sales team?
The sales team, the sales team.
So if I talk about it, one thing which I told you earlier also, that is expansion. If we talk about expansion, I look forward to expanding the organization along with stabilizing the process. So if you look at it, I'll give you an example. There is an organization, X organization, who I hired 50 people this month. Before this, they had another set of 50 people who were generating a revenue of, let's say, 50 lakhs. That is 1 lakh per person. So now that they have hired 50 people more, if I would have been the leader of that organization, I would have made sure that that 50 lakhs of revenue turns out to be 100 lakhs, 1 CR. Till that time, I'm not going to hire another set of 50 folks until and unless I reach to that 1 CR level. So the process is to expand, stabilize, and then expand, and then stabilize. If you just keep on continuously expanding, ultimately you will not be able to run the company profitably. So that is something which I am going to make sure. And because I also see that, with expansion, there is a rise in the customer acquisition cost of the company. I need to take control of it. I need to keep the unit economics in control, and I need to make sure that even while expanding, we are going to run the organization profitably, because it really helps us, because we will be going, let's say if we go for a fundraise or something, that is the first thing which the investor is going to question us about. So that is something which I look forward to doing this year.
Right. So you actually mentioned an amazing point about how a leader really has to look forward on multiple grounds, and it takes a lot of thinking. It takes a lot of thinking on a lot of fronts that goes into being a sales leader. So I think we've talked shop enough. So, just wanted to know what made you choose sales as a career, and over the years, what has become your favorite part of it? Or are there any specific thumb rules that you've gotten out of it that you also implement in your life?
So to be very honest, this goes long way back, because like it goes way back to my school times, wherein my principal used to tell me that either you can be what do you call, diplomat, or you can be a sales leader, or you can be a manager, because you know how to get your things done by saying things out loud. So that is something I've always got as a feedback. And I was persuasive enough with my family for anything which I wanted, and they also had a strong belief in that. But then after completing my BTech, I was under the impression that I don't know what to do with computer science. I might have got a label with a computer engineer, but I don't know what computer engineering is. And I have no shame in saying that out loud, because that is what happens with, I would say, 99% of the engineers. So I applied for a sales job. Wherein back in 2015, Byju's did not have any office outside Bangalore. They just had one office in Bangalore, and that's it. They were outsourcing their sales in other cities via different organizations. So I got in touch with one of the organizations, Skippers Projects, and that is how we started, wherein I started doing sales for Byju's back in 2015 in Pune. And that is how I ended up in the edtech sector. That is how I ended up with sales. as an individual contributor. I started in 8 months. I was able to reach that 1 CR level. I got promoted, became a manager, was given a team, and that is where I started learning what leadership actually is. So this is how I've entered the sales industry, and this is how my journey started as a sales leader. In 2017, my first team was handed over to me, and since then, I would say I burned my hands and I've learned. I've not got any theoretical knowledge, I would say, but yes, experiences have taught me a lot of things
Right.
across the period of time.
Right. So you just mentioned that when you just started out your sales stint, within a while you were able to hit a specific target, and after a
Mhm.
while you were handed over your team also. So do you have any sales habits or techniques for the audience of ours that's viewing this? You know, they happen to be a sales community itself that you followed during your stint that have helped you and that, you know, could help them as well.
Absolutely. So there is one thing which I always tell my managers and senior managers and team leaders, that there is one very common saying in sales. I don't know if most of the leaders know about it or not, but yes, I would want to convey this, that the day your team will start listening to you is the day when you are sick and tired of saying it. So generally, leaders lose patience because the team doesn't listen. But then keep on reiterating it, saying it once, twice, or thrice will not help. And that is how you execute things in a sales team, especially when you are working with freshers. So that is one thing which I would want to say. And then second thing is from the book Radical Candor only, care personally and challenge directly. So it's very important for you to care for your employees. And meanwhile, if you see that somebody is not able to reach to a point wherein you want them to, you do challenge them directly.
Right. And I think all of it comes down or boils down to the fact that when you're a leader, I think you need to exude a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience to come
A
through,
lot.
even if it's providing directives, even if it's leading people, even if it's strategizing. Takes a lot of patience for things to work out, isn't it?
Absolutely, it does. And there is a very slight difference between a manager and a leader, wherein a manager is getting the planning done by the leader and making sure the execution is done on his side. And the leader is actually into planning. So this is what I've learned recently in the last 1.5 years, how to detach yourself from being a manager and being a leader. You have to get out of execution, do the planning, and make sure that your managers are making the execution done. So that is something which does matter a lot.
Right, absolutely. So, like you've been mentioning, you've had a pretty long and varied experience when it comes to sales. And you know, you started your stint long time back. You've seen the selling landscape change from in-person meetings to then virtual and then hybrid. What is your thought process about it, and what do you think about virtual selling and sort of the ease or the flexibility that you know that it comes with? And where do you see it going?
Absolutely. So if we talk about it, I would not talk about virtual. I would talk about telephoning directly. So it's like field sales, then it's virtual, that is Google Meet and Zoom, and then it's telephonic, that's inside sales. So if we talk about it, Sanya, field sales, if you look at it, I have done field sales in Byju's, and I know that in field sales also, booking that one demo, 70% of the sales is done over the phone. It's just that you have to reach out to them, go to their home, give them a demo and close the sale. Get the money, close the sale, nothing else. So what I understand from it, that if people think that it is less efficient or less effective, no, not at all. Telephonic sales has been a charm and will be a charm. And even if it's a 5,000 rupee ticket size or a 1 lakh rupee ticket size, you can close it over a telephone call. So it has a lot of scope there is a lot of scope in inside sales. And going forward, even the companies which are catering to field sales currently, for example, Byju's, for example, Vedantu, for example, Extra Marks, all of these are going to come over to inside sales or virtual sales, because it's not feasible sending. So for example, we can take the example of this pandemic only. It was not at all feasible for any of these edtechs to send people to their customers home. So that is something which will come as a challenge in field sales in the upcoming times, because social distancing and all of this has become the new normal now, and field sales will extinguish after a point, and people will have to move to inside sales, and it is effective if you know what to say, if you know how to say it, and if you as a sales professional can generate or create the need of the product in the customer's mind, the sale is done. Similarly, USP, unassisted sales processes. For example, any D2C process, any e-commerce D2C brand who is just displaying an ad, the customer is watching that ad. By reading the content of the ad, there is something coming to their mind. They're going to the website and buying the product. So this is gonna be the new normal in the upcoming times.
So I think it's fair to say that eventually the rollover is going to get to virtual selling, and it is here to stay. And the
Absolutely.
ones who can absolutely adapt to it, or if not adapt, integrate it within their existing processes, are the ones who are going to get through.
Absolutely right.
It was amazing talking to you, Paras. Thank you so much for sharing all the insights that you did. This is actually an amazing conversation and an in-depth personal conversation and understanding how you can be an effective sales leader, which doesn't really come from a lot of books or a lot of, I would say, resources or materials. At the end of the day, you need to see actual people running behind that specific role to see what they're doing and how they're leading. And we've been able to do that today with you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. And I would also want to thank you, Sanya, for giving me this platform, giving me your time to actually express my views regarding all of this in front of everyone.
Thank you so much. The Zip Teams crew is absolutely grateful for your presence here today. Thank you so much.